What if Order 66 caused Ahsoka to be sent back in time, Part 2? The trip back to Coruscant thing went smoothly, and the other younglings all managed to build their respective lightsabers before they arrived. They were told that they would be given a day to rest before the training continued, though Battlemaster Andralik was eagerly waiting for Ahsoka when the shuttle landed. He was curious about her experience and was eager to begin training her using her new lightsabers. Though once she vaguely told him about her time in the cave, then showed him her lightsabers and told him how she constructed them, he relaxed and eased back a little. He told her that he would let her rest, but had expected a training session with them first thing in the morning, warning her that real lightsabers were very different from training ones. To which she replied that she understood and would look forward to it, and she did. She was relieved to have lightsabers again. Their film and presence by her side gave her comfort, and she wanted to use them like she used to twirl around with them, completely at ease and one with herself. It reminded her when she had refused to join the Order, how lost she had felt with her lightsabers swinging from her hip. Now relieved she was when Anakin gifted them to her again before the siege of Mandalore. Ahsoka and Sandralik talked a bit more as they guided her to her new dorm room with her new clanmates. It would be where she would be staying from now on until she became a Padawan and got a master, until she became Anakin's apprentice. So I had all to think about, so after saying goodbye to Sandralik, she simply lay in her new bed as her clanmates excitedly talked amongst themselves. What had the daughter meant when she had said that this was a chance to make things right? Was she really responsible for stopping the future that she had experienced? She had to be. What else could the daughter have meant? And what little things had happened to trigger this? It gave her some comfort and relief though, that the daughter had said that she had faith in Ahsoka. She also thought of Anakin. Where was he and what was he doing? He should be about 14 right now, though he was already apprenticed to Obi-Wan. She wondered if she could meet him. He definitely would be in the library or other usual places that she visited, besides maybe the training room and mess hall. She would have to get lucky to meet him in the mess hall though, but the training rooms would be a better bet. She knew that he had also trained with Sandralik as well as some droids that he had built. She felt that perhaps she shouldn't meet him before the Battle of Christophsis, but she didn't really care as she had already changed so much of her life and she quickly resolved to find him. They had shared experiences in the temple, both being lonely and outcasts, but ahead of their peers. So perhaps both their lives could get better by becoming friends earlier on. The day had been a long one, and she was drained both physically and mentally, but she still couldn't seem to sleep. Restless, she soon got up and dragged herself out of bed. And, with her new lightsabers at her waist, she spent the rest of the day in the library, lazily reading some reports on a battle that took place over 1,000 years ago. The next morning, Ahsoka met Sandralik in the training center, and after he greeted her and told her what he was going to try to review with her that day, this time with real lightsabers, he urged her to ignite hers. He had correctly guessed that she hadn't ignited them yet, unlike her clanmates, but she didn't care too much about it. She had ignited her lightsabers thousands of times, and she could already envision the greenish yellow blades protruding from her new lightsaber hilts. Though Anakin's blue touch ones came to mind as well, and she couldn't help a small smile. Anyway, igniting a lightsaber was nothing new to her, but she still tried to feign excitement, not wanting to arouse suspicion from Sandralik. However, both of them gasped as she ignited her lightsabers and saw their pure white color, and they stared in all wonder for several minutes at the unique and unheard of color. Sandralik broke silence first, commenting that this was the first time he had seen or heard of such color, and would have to do extensive research on it later. Refocusing, he told her that now he wanted to see them in action and test her using real lightsabers even more. Ahsoka soon regretted not resting the evening before as Sandralik pushed her hard, but though her body wasn't used to it yet, her sense of lightsaber combat was still there. He praised her for it and called her a prodigy, but she felt guilty about it. She had 3 years of combat to hone her skills and instinct, so she didn't really feel that she was too exceptional anymore. During those 3 years, she had also mostly stuck with a variant of Form 5 that accommodated her dual-wielding reverse grip. It was a form that didn't fit her stature, but instead fit well with hers and Anakin's personality. Now, she kind of regretted focusing solely on it, and wanted to become proficient in all the forms, though her Form 5 variant would likely still be the ace up her sleeve. Its uniqueness and unpredictability had won her many duels, and would likely win her many more. Days began to pass where she went back and forth between taking lessons with her new clanmates, and lessons with Sandralik, and she steadily improved as she rehoned and trained her body, and rebalanced herself in the Force. Word has spread of her unique lightsaber color and style though, and it only further ostracized her from her clan. It got to the point where she kinda missed her old clan, who at least talked to her and acknowledged her existence. This new one seemed to hate how different she was and ignored her to the point where she didn't exist to them. That was except for a single member though, a female Cage, whose name was Fari. She was kind to Ahsoka, and she appeared to be fascinated with her, admiring and looking up to her. Togru's were a naturally social race, and even though Ahsoka thought she would have been fine as she was before, she was so thankful that Fari was there to be her friend, with Fari always being eager to be with Ahsoka. She also ran into Plo Koon several times since her trip to Ilum, and though he seemed to sense something was off, he didn't say anything, instead openly accepting her new self. Him and Syndralik though were the only other ones she really talked to and bonded with, which was honestly better than her previous life where she only had Plo Koon, but still worse than what was expected from her. Luck seemed to be on her side though, as one day, while she was waiting for Syndralik and wandering the training rooms, she happened upon Anakin practicing against a droid. She watched him till he finished, and he noticed that the droid's combat form resembled Maul's. Once he defeated it, he turned to face her. She quickly tried to start up a conversation, but Anakin wasn't too keen on it. Instead of turning back to his droid and gathering it up, ignoring her. She had to give up a moment later as Syndralik found and called to her. He didn't say anything to Anakin, just giving a polite but apologetic smile, and guided Ahsoka back to the training room. He told her that it was good of her to try to make friends, but only if they wanted to be friends. Ahsoka mumbled her understanding before they got into their mock duel. However, she knew her attempt had paid off as she sensed Anakin watching on the door. If there was something she knew he couldn't pass up on, it was a good fight. It took a couple of days before they ran into each other again though. As soon as they did, Anakin quickly requested that they duel, which she eagerly accepted. Syndralik, who had been with her, was a bit hesitant, believing Anakin was too far ahead of Ahsoka, though he relented knowing that he was here to stop the duel if necessary, and that Ahsoka needed someone smaller than him to actually duel her, for her to really improve. As they prepared for the duel, Ahsoka could see that Anakin was cocky and she knew he had the right to be. He was older, bigger, and had potential, but Ahsoka knew she had the upper hand, even with her smaller size and age gap. Anakin didn't know how she fought, but she knew Anakin's style intimately, if it was still the same. Once Syndralik started the duel, she let Anakin attack her to verify that it was still the same style, before pushing an attack, targeting his weak points and unbalancing him, subsequently disarming him and quickly winning the first duel. Both Syndralik and Anakin were shocked, but Anakin was more annoyed and he quickly demanded a rematch, to which Ahsoka eagerly agreed. It was nice to beat Anakin, something that she had only accomplished late into the second year of the war. From then on, when Anakin was in the temple, Ahsoka was usually by his side along the Fari on occasions when time permitted, whether they were eating, dueling, or tinkering with the droids. They quickly became good friends again, and she even got him to go to the library with her a few times. One evening, while they were in his room working on repairing a droid that he had used for training earlier that day, he offhandedly asked if she remembered her parents, or at least her mother. Ahsoka knew that Fari did. Cage formed memories almost from birth, but hesitantly, she told him that she didn't know if she remembered her mother's face correctly, but she did remember her presence. Anakin's confused look, she explained about how she was good at sensing things and people, and even how she knew when a man impostoring a Jedi had tried to take it before Plo Koon had come. Anakin listened intently. It was something she had never told him before. Only Plo Koon and a few others had known. When she finished, Anakin was silent for a moment, though he soon spoke. He told that he had entered the Order at the age of 9, and of his mother who had still been a slave on Tatooine when he had left. She had wished him a good life, which she was living, but he worried about her and wondered if she was alright. He couldn't do anything though, and Obi-Wan was with the Jedi High Council in the aspect that they want him to forget about her, for him to sever his connection with her. Ahsoka knew about the Jedi's harsh view on attachments, and also knew a lot about Anakin's early situation, but he had refused to mention his mother before. Ahsoka, fearing the worst had previously happened to his mother, wanted to do something about it before it could happen again. When she next encounters Plo Koon, she mentions it to him, asks if he could free her. With a sigh, he calls her by her nickname, Little Ahsoka, and reminds her that attachments were forbidden, and, though Anakin's case was special, it was his personal life and his struggle, something that he had to overcome. He had no right to meddle, especially when the Council didn't wish for it. Ahsoka counters though, saying that Anakin was already attached, but he might grow out of it with time. However, the worry for his mother kept her constantly on his mind, making it impossible for him to forget about her. And if she would be hurt or even killed while he was here trying to be the perfect Jedi, then the guilt would stick with him forever, and he would be permanently attached to her with all the wrong emotions. Plo Koon stayed silent for a moment, but then relented, saying that she sounded a lot older than she was, but he understood what she was saying and would at least go check on the situation. But he would have to ask the council for their approval before he thought of freeing her. As he turned to leave, Ahsoka calls after him, telling him that sometimes it is better to ask for forgiveness than permission, especially when one doesn't fully understand the situation. Ahsoka was hopeful at first, though after a week with no news and no sign of Plo Koon, she started to become disheartened. However, on her way to meet Anakin over a week later, she happens upon him being pulled aside by Plo Koon, who looked a bit worse for wear. He tells Anakin that his mother was safe and currently residing in Alderaan, though now he would have to focus on breaking his attachment to her and put her out of his mind. Anakin readily agreed and thanked him profusely, to which Plo Koon just patted his shoulder before he excused himself. When he walked past Ahsoka, he paused and greeted her, calling her little Ahsoka again, and even though his mask covered his mouth, she knew that he was smiling. Before he could continue on, she gave him a quick hug and thanked him, telling him that she would make it up for him. He just chuckled and told her that she didn't owe him anything, that the experience was quite rewarding already. Over the next several weeks, Anakin was in high spirits, and life at the temple was good for them. Ahsoka quickly improved in her lightsaber styles and fitness, and her duels with Anakin, which had quickly turned into her losing every one, were beginning to be more often draws and straight defeats. Sindralik still refused to actually duel her, no matter how much she begged, and only did mock duels with her, but she was still thankful for this guidance. She also dueled with Fari, who was behind her in terms of skill but close to her age and stature, making it easy for Ahsoka to fight and learn from. Keys were also generally very fast and athletic, so technically Fari was ahead of Ahsoka in terms of her body as well. During their duels, Ahsoka shared tips with her that she had learned to overcome their smaller sizes, that she knew would continue to be an issue even when they grew up. She enjoyed doing mock duels with Fari, letting Fari go all out against her while she just defended, or Fari defended while Ahsoka attacked. Though she did go easy on Fari when she did that. They both learned a lot from each other and improved quickly, especially Fari. Ahsoka even began to look forward to more of their duels over hers and Anakin's. Ahsoka also learned about many of the battles and tactics used in the previous Sith Wars, some of which the Sith actually had droids as well. However, strangely enough, she found nothing on modern battle droids, even with it being after the Battle of Naboo. Not only that, but the location of Kamino and the Kaminoans in general weren't in the archives either. Once the war started, almost every Jedi knew the location of Kamino, and she had heard that the Kaminoan cloning had been used prior to the war as well. So why was it in the archives? She asked Jocasta knew if there were any instances where information could get lost, to which she replied there wasn't. There was no way for information to just disappear from the archives. Though, as Ahsoka turned to leave, she added that unless a Jedi Master had deleted it, as they were told how. However, they could only do that with the Council's permission, and she would know if that was the case. That struck something for Ahsoka. Count Dooku had been a master before he had left the Order, and she knew that the clone donor was a bounty hunter that had been employed by Count Dooku when he had been killed. Plo Koon also told her before that the army had been commissioned by Sifo Dyas, but not only had he gone missing, but he had also been a friend of Count Dooku's. They didn't know where he got the money for the clones from. Could Count Dooku be behind the clone army? But why? Why would he create an army that he had to fight in the future? Her next thought made her still. Unless he is playing the long game to ultimately defeat the Republic. She was certain the clones, or at least Rex, had been forced her on the Jedi Republic, so perhaps there had been something the Kaminoans had done to them to make them into unthinking droids, to force them to betray the Republic. Is that what had happened before? He deemed the time right and activated whatever it was? No, it couldn't be. Obi-Wan had told her that Anakin had killed him before it had happened. It could have definitely been someone else though, like General Grievous. That was most likely the case. If the clones would turn on them, then the Republic would quickly fall. But then why had the Jedi Councilman wary of Palpatine and sent Anakin to spy on him? Was it just because they had grown greedy for power? So I couldn't hope to know, but one thing she was now certain of was that Dooku was at least partially responsible for the clone army and their eventual betrayal. Ahsoka wanted to investigate more, but there was nothing she could do. She could try to get someone to go to Kamino. She knew the coordinates and hyperspace was slain by heart, but there wasn't much that could be accomplished by doing that, and she wasn't sure who to trust either. If the wrong person got told, then she couldn't even imagine what could happen. She'd have to wait till the clones became known before continuing her investigation. She still went to the library on occasions, but instead began focusing more of her time with Fari and Anakin and her lightsaber training in general. Months soon turned to years, and year 3628 ACC dawned and her 11th birthday drew near. As she got older, her skill and knowledge began to show that they far outclassed almost everyone else around her age, even surpassing Anakin in some aspects. Ahsoka heard from Plo Koon that Jedi Council had been debating on making her a Padawan due to her knowledge, skill, and determination she showcased. But they were hesitant as she didn't interact much at all with any other Jedi besides Fari, Plo Koon, Anakin, and Dralik. So that it was unlikely they'd make her a Padawan because of this. Some of the council wanted her to continue with her clan and continue trying to make friends, and she was perfectly fine with this. It hadn't occurred to her that they might make her a Padawan before they did previously, and it was a wake-up call that she had already changed the future, however small her impact had been so far. She didn't want to become a Padawan yet. She wanted to become Anakin's Padawan again, and they haven't been knighted yet. She continued on with her life as normal, though there was practically nothing left in the library that she hadn't read yet, or that she was allowed to read. Anakin wasn't at the temple as often as before either, Obi-Wan taking him on most of his missions, though when he was in the temple, they often sparred and Obi-Wan sometimes came to watch. When they were out, she most stuck with Fari, who was arguably now a closer friend than Anakin. They had made a few more friends or acquaintances over the years, though most of them just wanted to learn from them. Only a few tried to be actual friends, but Anakin and Ahsoka were both grateful that there were at least some people who wanted to be close. Besides them, Plo Koon had his own things he needed to do, and Dralik, though he still gave her tips and instructions, had his job and other people to train. So, she began meditating more. When she got bored of that, she began trying different force techniques out of curiosity. Fari often joined her, always interested and curious at what Ahsoka was up to, and it was while she was meditating under the great tree with Fari one evening that Morai made an appearance. Ahsoka had first seen the convoy when she, Anakin, and Obi-Wan had been taken to Mortis, but she had caught glances of her on several occasions after that. Never, though, had she landed on Ahsoka's shoulder as she did now. All Ahsoka and Fari could do was stare at Morai for several moments before Fari wondered if she could pet her. Without waiting for a response, she slowly raised her hand and gently stroked Morai's head. It only lasted a moment though, before she flew off and landed on the great tree in front of them. Fari asked Ahsoka if she knew the convoy, and Ahsoka debated on telling the truth. Not wanting to lie to her though, she admitted that she did, telling her that her name was Morai. She didn't go deeper, instead telling her that she had seen her following her. Fari asked why she had named it Morai, and all Ahsoka could muster was that she had seen the name in some text and it had stuck with her. From then on, she often saw Morai, whether it was through a window or flying above when she went outside. The sight often caught other Jedi's attention as well, but thankfully, Morai only landed on her or by her when there was no one else around besides Fari. So grew accustomed to having Morai around and began to spend more time outside to be with her, even kind of wishing she could leave the temple and Coruscant itself, so she could be free with her like she used to be when she was at least a Padawan. It disheartened her a bit, especially since she now felt that she shouldn't leave the Jedi Order anymore, so that she could prevent the future that still haunted her nightmares. But the daughter had told her that she had faith in Ahsoka, and Morai was proof of that, though she wondered why she had only appeared now, and not when she had met the daughter. As a Jedi, she had been raised to be selfless and sacrifice life if needed, so she was willing to do not what she wanted, but what was needed of her, even if she became miserable, because she knew what was at stake. She was just sick of being a kid still. Her body was still too small and weak, even with all the training she was doing, and everyone constantly underestimated and looked down on her. She just wondered why she had to go back in time this far, and not just when the war started. Still, there was nothing she could do about it, but continue to wait. Things thankfully remained uneventful for a while after that, and Ahsoka thought that life was going as well as possible, and everything was mostly on track. That is, until just before her 11th birthday, when the High Council summoned her. When she appeared before them, Master Windu told her that they had come to an agreement that she was ready to be made a Padawan, so that she could continue her journey and grow and learn. Ahsoka's heart dropped as he continued, saying that they had considered having her participate in the Padawan trials, but decided that there was no need as her skill was already apparent, and several Jedi were already asking for her to be their apprentice. Ahsoka was about to protest, but the words died in her throat. What could she say? That she wanted to be Anakin's apprentice because she was before? The Jedi High Council seemed to be waiting for a response, watching her, so lacking anything to say, she simply nodded. It seemed enough, and Master Windu continued, saying that Plo Koon was the foremost that wanted her, but they had felt they were too close, so decided against it. This only had hurt Ahsoka as she realized that she had perhaps ruined her chance of being Anakin's apprentice again, by becoming his friend before she was assigned as a Padawan. Master Windu kept talking though, saying that after much deliberation, they had decided that our master would be Jedi Master Sora Bulk. Ahsoka stilled, frozen by the name. Sora Bulk, someone who had previously left and betrayed the Jedi Order after joining Count Dooku. He was going to be her master. The Council had perhaps picked the worst person to be her mentor. As a note, I am using the Legends version of Sora Bulk, not the canon version.